We work for sounds of pitter-patter. We sweat for moments of triumph. And we look forward to lunchroom chatter. We do it to help businesses prosper and communities thrive. It takes passion. It takes leadership and innovation. And it requires plenty of perseverance and teamwork. We are the catalyst for economic growth. We are the convener for leaders and influencers. We are the champion for a stronger Yuba-Sutter. We are the Yuba-Sutter Chamber of Commerce. Grow with us.
Sierra Central Credit Union, banking where you live and work.
Between work and all my other daily duties, it's hard for me to get to the bank. That's why I do all my banking using Sierra Central Online Banking with the mobile banking app. I just snap a picture of any checks I need to deposit, or I pay my bills with their online bill payer service. It's so easy and convenient. I use my laptop, desktop, PC, or mobile device anytime from anywhere. That's how I live life, at the speed of me.
Can I get a little more from you?
This community was made for more. More kindness, more support, more hope.
From you?
Together we can overcome anything. Stay active, stay healthy, stay connected. That's what a community does. Made for more. Adventist Health.
We can show you how. Live streaming can be simple and not expensive. You may already have the basic tools right in your hand. But it's more than just pushing live to communicate effectively. That's where uba-Sutter.LIVE and Live Streaming YS on Facebook can help you. Make it easy to jump in. Just give us a call at 530-301-2931 or visit our website www.uba-Sutter.LIVE. Yuba-Sutter's home of live streaming and live streaming tools, live streaming services, technology, and training. Live streaming is uba-Sutter.LIVE.
Now?
Yes, now.
Okay. Good evening and welcome to our local candidate forums. This evening is brought to you by the Yuba-Sutter Chamber of Commerce and the Appeal Democrat. My name is Marnie Sanders and I am the CEO of the Chamber. I'd like to extend a special thanks to Yuba County for the use of this facility this evening. I'd also like to thank our sponsors for this event tonight. These forums have been made possible by Sierra Central Credit Union and Uba-Sutter.LIVE. We'd also like to recognize some of our champion circle investors: Adventist Health and Rideout, Adept Solutions, Calusa Casino Resort, Sutter Health, Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, Sacramento at Fire Mountain, and Recology. Thank you to the candidates for joining us and to the audience out there watching us on live stream. I'm now going to turn it over to Joe McClure, who will go over the evening's format. Joe McClure is the Executive Vice President and Chief Banking Officer at Golden Pacific Bank, and he's also a member of our Candidate Forum Committee, and he's the chair of our Government Affairs Committee and a Chamber Board member. Joe.
Thanks, Marnie. Appreciate that. Tonight we'll be hearing from candidates running for Yuba County Supervisor in District 2, Don Blaser and Stephen Heter. And at 7 this evening, we will be hearing from candidates running for Marysville City Council and Marysville Mayor, who we will introduce at that time. We'll begin our question and answer with the candidates running for the Yuba County Supervisor seats. The appeal will also feature questions and answers in their printed publication and online over the coming days. Now here's how tonight's forum will work. Each candidate will receive 90 seconds for an opening statement, and then we'll have a series of questions provided by our committee, audience members, and readers of the Appeal Democrat. If you'd like your questions to be considered, please submit your questions in the comments area of the platform you're watching this forum from. Please keep your questions brief, and questions must address both candidates, otherwise they will not be allowed, as questions cannot be directed to only one candidate. Please be aware that we already have dozens of questions for our candidates, so if we don't get to yours, we apologize, as we have time for only a certain number of questions this evening. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each question, and rebuttals will be allowed only if there is a reference to the opposing candidate in that candidate's answer, and those rebuttals will be allowed for up to 30 seconds. At the end of the questions, each candidate will have up to 2 minutes for a closing statement, and no rebuttals will be allowed during those closing statements. Candidates, please direct your attention to our timekeeper, Jackie Lee. Jackie, raise your hand. She will have 3 signs. One says 30 seconds, one says 15 seconds, and the third one says time's up. Please be respectful of everyone's time and stay within your time limits. Again, we'd like to thank those who've joined us on live stream or who are watching these forums from other platforms, and we appreciate your interest in learning more about tonight's candidates. I'd like to extend a special thanks to my fellow Candidate Forum Committee members who worked tirelessly to put these forums together: Bob Harlan, Steve Miller, Jackie Silman, Jackie Lee, and of course our own Marnie Sanders. Our moderators tonight are Steve Miller, editor for the Appeal Democrat, and Bob Harlan, executive director of the Yuba-Sutter.LIVE United Way, both of which have donated many hours to determine the issues pertinent to this race. At this point, I'm going to turn the mic over to our moderators, Steve and Bob.
Thank you very much, and thank you, those of you at home tonight or wherever you may be watching this virtual forum. We have 2 candidates tonight. Neither is an incumbent, and both are running for the Yuba County Supervisor District 2 position. We're going to start out with opening statements of up to 90 seconds, and we'll start first with Stephen Heter.
Well, as I said, my name's Stephen Heter, and I am running for the Yuba County 2nd District's supervisorial seat. I was born and raised here in Yuba County, and I want to raise a family here as well. My grandfather had what he called a justice bone, and that bone ached whenever he saw injustice happening around him. I have that same bone in my body. When I have seen things happen in our community that I've disagreed with, I've done what I can to correct the situation and serve our community as best I can. Whether that was while I was in high school, working in an after-school program, or when I decided to start a career, working under Assemblyman Gallagher and later Senator Nielsen, to work against the government's worst proclivities. Proclivities that I've experienced firsthand while working, having a small business here in California. I feel at this point in time that my talents and experience are best utilized being a member of the Board of Supervisors here in Yuba County, doing what I can to continue to grow and improve our community. This is my passion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and we'll now hear from Don Blaser, up to 90 seconds.
Good evening. Don Blaser, and thanks again for putting all your effort in on trying to pull this together. I know it's a hard task. Native to the Yuba-Sutter area, I was born in Yuba City, my wife kind of across the street over here in Marysville. We attended local schools, graduated from Yuba College, and then went on to UC Davis, graduated with a BA in Ag Economics, because at that time our family was in farming on the north side of Yuba City. So came back to the farm for a number of years. When the farm was sold, I went to work for Yuba City Steel Products in Yuba City, doing mainly financial stuff from purchasing to CEO. Then that career drifted away, and we got into the Marysville, and we opened the Brick Coffee House Cafe, which we've been running for 17 years. So at that point, we actually moved into downtown Marysville. I'm a former Yuba-Sutter Chamber board member, past president of the Marysville Business Improvement District. So I had a lot of exposure to activities and problems and issues and the pluses and minuses of Marysville. Current committee member on the Marysville Joint Unified Career Technical Education Committee and the Yuba-Sutter Economic Development SEDS Committee.
Okay, thank you very much. And now it's time to go into questions, and each candidate will have up to 60 seconds to answer the question that's provided by one of us. And we'll rotate who gets the question first between the two of you. And Steve, you're going to have the first question.
For Don. Has Yuba County done all it can to assist businesses that are hurting badly because of COVID-19? What more could be done?
Are you starting with, did you say Steve or me?
I think it's referring to Mr. Miller.
That's for you, Don.
I'm up. So what was the question again?
Has Yuba County done all it can to assist businesses that are hurting badly because of COVID-19?
Well, I'm more affected by Marysville at the moment, but Yuba County, I don't know how much control they have to try to help the businesses, because it seems to be coming more from the state level. It's been so erratic that it's been very tough for businesses. One minute there's certain rules, another minute there's other rules. So we have seen help from various committees that have come out with PPEs. They've come out and helped us on various, how to best attract customers, how to adjust your business. So there has been some help from various agencies that have come down and helped us out, but it's such a tough deal. Yeah. It's almost impossible.
Stephen?
Well, the county has been working at it, but I do feel there's some more that can be done. And it may not be a direct impact, but I think, if we filed an amicus brief, for Assemblyman Gallagher's and Assemblyman Kiley's court case, I think that would be a good step, just to help lend our weight to the argument that we should be able to do more than what they've got now. These regulations are just so stifling. I've seen the numbers that in Northern California, something close to 90% have seen a reduction of revenue down to 10% of what it should be at this point in time. I just think that we have to do everything we can to combat the situation that's going on.
Okay, thank you. The next question will start with Stephen. And what are the conditions, as far as you know, of the jail facilities? Is everyone safe, employees, inmates? And you may have seen the publicity, and it hasn't been confirmed or denied really, that media reports of starvation diets from people who say they are mistreated in the system. What do you know about that?
I'm not very familiar with that in particular situation. I do know that there are those who like to protest, though, and the biggest way to get a big news report is for them to basically starve themselves up into the point where medical staff is required to make sure that they actually have enough to live. I don't know about this situation in particular, but I would rather not speak more in depth about particular actions right now on that. I will say that I know our local sheriffs and correctional officers are doing what they can to make sure that no one is adversely impacted by the virus.
Okay, Don?
I don't have first-hand experience talking with the sheriff or the goings-on at the jail, but nowadays it's kind of hard to sort through all the information that comes out because a lot of it is so skewed. I have a lot of confidence in the sheriff's department on handling whatever comes up over there. So I think they will stay ahead of it, and there's a lot of options. One option of just letting everybody out wasn't really an option, but separating them and getting them from the general population seems to be probably the best choice at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
This question will start with you, Don.
Got it.
All right. I'm pointing. Given that Caltrans has proposed widening Highway 70 from 2 lanes to 5 as traffic enters Marysville, many local citizens are concerned about highway traffic spilling into the neighborhoods. Where do you stand on the plan Caltrans is proposing?
Well, near as I can tell, Caltrans has their most grandiose plan is 5 lanes. So it's 4 lanes plus the center turn lane. And dumping into Marysville, and to accommodate that, they want to run 4 lanes all the way down B Street, turn, and come up First Street. So actually creating a second highway through Marysville. Their fallback plan is 3 lanes, which still has a center turn lane and then 2 other lanes. So in the long run, they've got to consider a bypass. Whether it's today, tomorrow, or 30 years from now, it's coming down the road. If they go with 5 lanes and with all the new development up in Oroville, their experts are saying there's an excess of maybe 5,000 new vehicles going through Marysville. And during the Paradise Fire, there was 1,000 trucks, so multiply that times 5. And it's just a disaster waiting to happen. And to run another highway through some critical areas in Marysville is just, the public really needs to get behind this and be aware of what's going on.
Thanks. Stephen?
Well, I mean, it's obviously a contentious issue. One of the main concerns I've heard is the Veterans Hall. They've just gotten back together after the fire they had there, and this is another threat to them. But we really have to look at the long-term impact, right? We've got to get traffic through the city. Otherwise, you're just going to have a longer and longer backup. We'll end up like Wheatland, where it takes you an hour, to get through the city, and that's just not a realistic solution. I know we're looking for other things to alleviate the situation as well. The Goldfields Parkway project, right, to help pull some traffic off and bleed it out to 20 that way, to get through the city, so you're not having as much congestion there. But I think the project itself is very important to the continued health of our community.
Thank you.
And we'll start with Stephen for the next question. And this one's a pretty popular question, especially over the last 20 years. We seem to ask it pretty much every cycle. But what do you know about the public employee retirement system and its effect on Yuba County? So give us an assessment of where we stand, especially with the financial assistance from the Yuba Water Agency. Well, the CalPERS and CalPERS programs are incredibly underwater. I think it's like $200 billion for CalPERS and $150 billion for CalSTRS statewide. And there's been concessions made here locally to help try to start to rectify that, right? The county employees in Yuba County have given up, their Social Security in a way of streamlining the budget for them, and they're really working at correcting the problem. Unfortunately, the only real long-term plan is to kind of grow the economy here, and you have to kind of look at offering less in benefits to future retirees, and then the state itself has to do something, because what's going on now is just untenable. Their current practices for finances is just not okay. Okay, Don?
Well, as you say, this comes up in every every debate, every forum. It's gets down to money coming in and money coming out. And talking to Kevin over at Yuba County, it seems like they have a plan, whether it's through attrition and cutting back on actual employees, or watching. Well, part of the problem is financing and how that has affected the money. Because in the good times, they created a problem that now they can't sustain in the worst times. So I have a lot of confidence in the people that are running the finances in Yuba County, and they seem to have a plan to get around it.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if they ever will, but it's the plan.
Okay. For this question, we're starting with Don.
Okay, Steve.
What?
Give us your assessment of how Yuba County stands both in terms of fire protection and flood protection.
Well, I think with all the work they've been doing on the levees, I feel more confident living in Marysville than I do almost anywhere. Even back, if you can remember back to the '55 flood, Marysville was always the safest place to be, and with all the work they've been doing on the levees recently, I think they're up to 100 or 200 year flood situations on the levees. Fire situation, it's the really scary thing is the evacuation plans. So not so much maybe in Marysville, but when you get up in the foothills, there's just things that just can happen in a few seconds. And getting the infrastructure right and planning ahead and getting people to maintain their properties. And I think Yuba County is pretty much on top of it, but I'm concerned about evacuation routes.
Okay. Stephen?
Well, as Don said, I think that our city, Marysville's levees are in pretty good shape. The charter has them put about 3 feet above every other levee. I think we're pretty well set in the city, and all the other projects that has been going on have really put the levees in what I think is a good place. Fire, I am a little bit more sanguine on. I would like to see a little bit more enforcement on making people maintain their fire clearance. You go up into the hills and you see some people who just really aren't doing what they need to do. And I'm not talking about fining them or anything like that, but just some friendly reminders and knock on the door, hey, here's the rules, here's why it is.
Okay, thanks.
Next question, we'll start with Stephen. What plans or strategies could you come up with to help include more people of color to get more deeply involved with local government and directive boards?
I think it's just about relationships. Relationships are what run everything. And if you want to bring a certain particular segment of society in, you create relationships. And with those relationships, you can create opportunities. So I think just getting into the community, the black community, and arranging for more contact. And then with that contact, if a position comes up, you can recommend someone. I'm not saying that you need to put someone above someone else, but sometimes there's times where someone's equal, you can just create an opportunity for that person.
Okay. Don?
Well, actually, I haven't thought too much about the diversity because we've dealt with a lot of people different with a wide range of diversity, and it usually gets down to a matter of the qualifications of people. Now, if that being said, perhaps there needs to be more effort to give people the chance to qualify for these jobs. Sometimes in low-income situations, they don't have the opportunity to get the education and the IT support and everything else that they need to progress. But all in all, I think there is maybe an untapped source of really good employment in that area, and companies generally seem to be looking for that.
Okay. Starting with Don.
Okay.
Here's a question that a reader sent in. Yuba County now has an uncomplaining source of great revenue in the generation of hydropower. Sometimes it seems like the Yuba Water Agency Board can't give money away fast enough. There are restrictions on what the money can be used for, Can you explain the restrictions and what that leaves the county able to do with all the revenue?
Well, you've got to assume that since it's a Yuba water agency, that money has to be spent for water-related issues, such as maybe recreation, irrigation, etc., if there's any water involved. From what I've seen, but not up close and personal, the water agency is doing a really good effort on trying to work, not necessarily in gray areas, but trying to help out and front money for road repair or et cetera, if they have a good income stream for payback on it. They seem very responsible and very interested in supporting the county every way they can. So the area of restrictions, I don't think they're monitored too much on that, but I'm certainly going to find out more. But at this point, there's been a lot of good things said.
Thanks. Stephen?
Can I trouble you to repeat the question?
You bet. Yuba County now has an uncomplaining source of great revenue in the generation of hydropower. Sometimes it seems like the Yuba Water Agency Board can't give money away fast enough. There are restrictions on what the money can be used for. Can you explain the restrictions and what that leaves the county able to do with all that revenue?
Right. So basically, it does have to do something with water. There are certain particulars on all of that, but you know, when they did the green space around Ellis Lake, or when they're doing studies, or when they're fronting some money as a loan, it works within that framework. And other reasons they have that money is they're planning for a expansion for the emergency relief up there. It's an enormously expensive project, over $100 million, I think, to make sure that we are compliant. If anything goes wrong, it's a 500-year flood. It can bring out just a tremendous amount of water. And I think the projects they're working on here locally are really doing what they can to stimulate while be within the bounds of making sure they're compliant with their regulations.
Okay, thanks.
Let's talk about Measure K, Stephen, that increased the county sales tax in the unincorporated areas of the county. Was it done properly, and what's happening right now with that issue?
I don't believe it was done properly at all. And I think the Howard Jarvis taxpayers lawsuit against this is really indicative of many people's beliefs that it was done improperly. Right now, the money is still being collected because it's still being court challenged. And I think moving forward, what we'll have to do is somehow get the money back to the constituents. I'm not quite sure how we'll do that program, but I don't think that we should improperly collect money like that. It's, to me, an antithesis of how good government operates.
Don?
So this measure was promoted as a public safety / essential services protection measure. There was no mention that the tax collected would go into a general fund. I don't support a tax that goes into the general fund with no clear specific expectations of where the money will be spent. So that being said, you would think the people that wrote this would have enough experience and knowledge to write it where they wouldn't get sued. So the money, yes, has been stacking up in Yuba County. How they would ever come to a conclusion to disperse it back out to who and how, I have no idea how they would do that. But right now it's going into a fund they can't touch.
Okay. Here's another question sent in by a reader. Don, speak to the homelessness situation. It seems like it just gets more and more worse in terms of the number of homeless we see around the area. There are complaints of problems they cause. There's also the humanitarian aspect. What's been done and what could be done?
And I have 30 seconds? No, 60 seconds?
That's right.
I'll talk fast.
Better start.
All right. Okay, my biggest problem with the homeless situation is that there's this big umbrella they call homeless, and they throw everybody under the umbrella and they call them all homeless. So what we see is about 10% are truly people that I define as homeless, which have gotten themselves in a bad situation and they're really making an effort to get out of it. So my biggest hope is the Homeless Consortium, and they just recently had a ribbon cutting for their Life Center. So people can go there, they can get immediate help, but they have to register. There's some rooms where they can stay, but the main thing about the consortium is that they assess the people and they direct them out, they get them in the system, they direct them out to the right agencies. Is my time up? No. Okay.
Close.
Close. So we have an issue on the streets where there's a lot of people just have adapted to that street lifestyle, and they just aren't anxious to get into the system. And being a business person in the downtown, we see that every day. But I'm hoping the consortium will help the ones that really want to get out of the system.
Thanks, Don. Stephen?
Yeah, to me, it's one of my great passions, the homelessness problem, right? I think it was the Habitat for Humanity and NorCal Guides did a survey about a year ago. 70% of the people living in the river bottoms want to live that lifestyle. We can't help those people, but the 30% that really want to get out and change their life, those are the people that are most receptive to our help. There's a program that they started down in San Diego, and I got to go down and see it, and it was an amazing program. And it was kind of a one-stop shop. All the resources that were needed were all aggregated there. So instead of being sent out across the city to go in each individual location, they could all be provided there. So whether it was your mental health, whether it was, your Hands of Hope, whether it's your Twin Rivers, all of them had the material there to get the ball rolling. It could all be taken care of. It's something that we're looking at here, but I'd really like to spearhead that effort to get that change. It's, while not a silver bullet, it seems to be something that's incredibly effective.
Okay, thanks very much.
Stephen, you probably have some pet issues that are facing the county that you'd like to take care of in the next 4 years if elected. Could you name one or two that you can champion and tell us a little bit about it?
Well, one is the homelessness, and I just spoke briefly on that. Another would be the roads in Marysville, right? I really want to champion getting some money into the city, even though that's not directly related to the county. I think that's something that we can really look at. From what I understand, at this point in time, the city has a grant. And then part of that component, before they can get the funds, is they have to do road maintenance. And they've got about half of the funds spent, which is about $250,000 out of the $500,000 necessary in road maintenance. I would like to see us at the county level some way do either low cost or no cost loan for them to finish that so they get the money from the federal government.
Okay. Don?
So back on roads and the bypass, I'm thinking that, I'm not sure where we are at this point in time, but whether the supervisors are pushing to approve or champion a bypass around Marysville or not. I don't think they can just keep stalling and stalling. I think somehow that plan has to get started. A second idea that I like is not so much an issue, but the old railroad bridge alongside the 5th Street Bridge needs to be converted to a pedestrian bike bridge and tie in the Marysville and the Yuba City side to bike trails taking advantage of the river bottoms around Marysville, and Yuba City's already doing some bike trails. That would almost make it a destination for biking and hiking if we can tie that bridge in, which is just a natural, pretty easy thing to do. So I would really like to see that done. A lot of people do.
Okay, Steve, we have time for one more question.
Oh my gosh. Starting with Don. Will there ever be a time when Yuba County would consider changing its mind about commercial marijuana sales? Will that ever be an option? Why or why not? And how about cultivation?
Cultivation?
As well.
Just the cannabis, not hemp, right?
Yes, we're talking about cannabis.
Yeah, cannabis, yes. Right now there's no outdoor cultivation in the county, I believe. And the restrictions on indoor are pretty strong. And I think we're best to stay on that track myself. The things we run into in the foothills with the sheriff's department and the illegal grows and everything like this, I don't think it's going to solve the problem by making it legal, personally. I have no problem with the medical side of it, but the recreational, I know it's legal, but I've still been struggling with that. But I'm hoping the legalization will lead to a stricter controls of the industry in general. But at this point, I really can't go along with legalizing it in the county.
Thank you. Stephen?
Yeah, I think one of the things we often forget is it's still a Schedule I drug on the federal side, right? I really don't think it's right to change that. Up until the feds change their mind, we're really flaunting federal law, and all it would take is another administration that wants to treat it differently for it to crack down real hard. Furthermore, I think it really brings in a criminal element. And for me personally, it's a big issue. When I was younger, I had a friend of mine, he and his other buddies were out hiking on the mountains with their Boy Scout friends, and he stumbled onto a pot grow, and they shot and killed him. These criminals just thrive in this environment, and whether or not it's legal or not, you see these guys trying to game the system, and it's these same cartels, same bad actors operating, and I just don't want any part of it.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you, and we're going to go to closing statements, and you have up to 2 minutes if you'd like to take that long, and we'll start out with Don Blaser.
Thank you. Well, once again, thank you for putting in the effort and allowing the candidates to explain their various issues. So, like many other Yuba-Sutter natives, I've seen Marysville in its heyday, as some of you have also seen, especially in the 60s. It's just a heyday of bustling activity. If you went to town, it was only Marysville. So we have a lot of history and memories of being in Marysville. There's been a gradual decrease in interest in the downtown area, but I feel that by addressing a lot of missed opportunities, we can return Marysville to this role as a destination city, which at one time it actually was. 17 years ago, my wife Levina and I, we chose to live in downtown Marysville and open the Brick Coffee House Cafe on D Street. We have 2 children. Our daughter works for Marysville Joint Unified in administration. Our son is a teacher down in Rockland, and we have 4 grandchildren. Having local financial experience in agriculture, heavy industry, and small retail, I feel that I can bring a broad view to moving Yuba County forward. I strongly believe in accountability, which seems to be a little lacking nowadays, character, and what is or is not acceptable. I will always be representing Marysville and West Linda on issues that will improve quality of life, and I think you deserve a supervisor that has deep roots in the area. I think that is pretty much what I would like to cover. I think the main thing is that I've seen all these various industries mainly from a business side, and running the county and the government isn't necessarily that different from running a business. You have money in, you have money out, you have overhead, etc. So I appreciate the time and I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you,
Don.
And now we'll hear from Stephen Heter for up to 2 minutes.
Well, thank you so much for having me here. Thank you for everyone who's watching. It's a real honor. Being born and raised here in Yuba County, I love it. I've worked up and down the state, and when I wanted to start a family, instead of leaving, selling my house, and moving someplace else, I decided to deepen my roots, to really dig in, because I just love this area so much. I've had a lot of experience dealing with different agencies, dealing with different groups, and I want to bring those ties to this county. I really believe there's a lot I can do working with SACOG, RCRC, and various other groups to get us more funding, to get us more opportunities, to do what we can to bring things like the UC out here. I want to do everything I can to make this an area where young families can grow and thrive. And I would really appreciate the opportunity to prove it. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate both of you gentlemen being here tonight. And again, you've been listening to Yuba County Supervisor candidates for District 2. And these forms are still available online through Election Day on the Chamber of Commerce site, on the website, as well as the Facebook page, the Appeal Democrat Facebook page, as well as some others you'll find. So please spread the word and have people watch these forums. If you're with us tonight live, we'll be getting to the next forum, which will feature the Marysville City candidates for mayor and council, and that'll be coming up just a few minutes after 7. So thanks everybody for joining us.
Thanks.
We work for sounds of pitter-patter. We sweat for moments of triumph. And we look forward to lunchroom chatter. We do it to help businesses prosper and communities thrive. It takes passion. It takes leadership and innovation. And it requires plenty of perseverance and teamwork. We are the catalyst for economic growth. We are the convener for leaders and influencers. We are the champion for a stronger Yuba-Sutter. We are the Yuba-Sutter Chamber of Commerce. Grow with us.
Sierra Central Credit Union, banking where you live and work.
Between work and all my other daily duties, it's hard for me to get to the bank. That's why I do all my banking using Sierra Central Online Banking with the mobile banking app. I just snap a picture of any checks I need to deposit, or I pay my bills with their online bill payer service. It's so easy and convenient. I use my laptop, desktop, PC, or mobile device anytime from anywhere. That's how I live life, at the speed of me.
Can I get a little more from you?
This community was made for more. More kindness, more support, more hope. Together we can overcome anything. Stay active, stay healthy, stay connected. That's what a community does. Made for more. Adventist Health.
We can show you how. Live streaming can be simple and not expensive. You may already have the basic tools right in your hand. But it's more than just pushing live to communicate effectively. That's where uba-Sutter.LIVE and Live Streaming YS on Facebook can help you. Make it easy to jump in. Just give us a call at 530-301-2931 or visit our website, www.uba-Sutter.LIVE. Yuba-Sutter's home of live streaming and live streaming tools, live streaming services, technology, and training. Live streaming is uba-Sutter.LIVE.